How would you like to make your first million? And today we have joining from Australia, Jason, which is the CEO and founder of Aureus Financial. So, Jason, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yes, so as you know, Harry, the failure rates of small businesses are incredibly high globally. And I think one of the fundamental reasons why is people focus on the wrong thing first. They do things in a logical order, that they try and build a business around their passions, and then they try and push that forwards to create success. My belief is that business owners, no matter whether they're just getting started or whether they're seasoned veterans, must first start with defining what financial freedom means. So the first step is defining your financial freedom goal. How much passive income are you trying to produce to live the life that you want? We then need to reverse engineer that into a net wealth target of how much wealth do we need to produce to be able to create that passive income. Then we need to set a personal income target that allows us to create a great lifestyle without having to defer gratification and have enough surplus to build wealth. That then requires us to set a profit target and a revenue target. And this now turns into our financial model that we can take to market to allow us to connect the activity in our business to the outcomes that really matter. And this is how I've helped my clients build over $3 billion in combined wealth.
Being a good entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that you're a good investor. There is completely different ball game. So we have one thing is to make the money. Completely different ball game is to keep it. And this is a second part that our audience, they are entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneurs and business owners of small, medium, and large size businesses. And again, we see that an entrepreneur exit the business, a few millions, and now had this money. And because this second part, he doesn't have developed the ability or doesn't have any knowledge, sometimes give it to a financial advisor and depends this industry. Sometimes some companies, they make a lot of money in commissions, okay, and sometimes it doesn't represent the interest of the client. Yeah, talking generally. So there is good, bad, and ugly in every industry.
Sure.
But have come to our attention that podcast guests here have shared the story that if they knew better, okay, because learning a little bit about this, maybe when they talk with a consultant like you, they can actually spot that you really care about your clients, that you really produce things. But if you don't know anything, and anybody can tell you a story and then you believe the story, worst thing, they have given the millions, hardworking million building the business. They haven't looked at it, and then after a year, they're looking and they say, "Oh, there are a few zeros missing. What's going on here?" So tell
Exactly
us,
right, Harry.
Jackson, what is your message for the entrepreneurs out there? And in order to the second part of the episode or the second part of the equation, which is keeping the money.
Yes. So let's break this down, Harry. The other underlying issue here is that most people in general, not just business owners, do not believe that they are finance people, right? They think, I'm not good with money. I didn't do well at math at school. And it might come as a little bit of a surprise. I wasn't very good at math at school, right? And I got into this space because my parents were business owners and they were incredibly good at what they did, but they never had any money to show for it. They always struggled. They always battled. And what I come to realize is, as you rightly said, learning how to make money, learning how to keep it, and then learning how to make it work for you are 3 fundamentally different skill sets that you must master. Now, it is my belief that no one is ever going to love your money or your marketing as much as you do. And those are 2 critical skills to grow and scale a business and grow and scale your wealth. And I see so many people fall into the trap of abdicating responsibility. They think they're outsourcing to a financial advisor or a wealth manager, but they're handing over the keys to the vault with blind trust and faith, with no understanding. So it's your duty as a business owner to learn the skills. You need to learn the language of money. So then you can uphold these people to a higher standard, because not everybody's out to do the wrong thing. but people are opportunistic.
Absolutely.
And that's the issue. So what I've done is I've created a framework that we call the Wealth Mastery Machine, which is our system that we teach our clients because we want them to be able to manage their money without us. And it revolves around three
Oh,
key
wow.
aspects, Harry.
That's fantastic. So the entrepreneur have the
One,
chance to learn, right?
correct. So the first pillar is you need to define and get crystal clear on what it is that you want, and more importantly, why you want it and how you get there. Two, you need to create. You need to learn how to make money and make it work for you. And three, you need to learn how to manage your money because there's going to come a point in time where you've got so much wealth that the compounding is greater than your earned income. And that's when we start to create real magic. So those three skills is what we need to learn.
Now, when we need to start to learn, because we discuss, and it's a lot of debate in this podcast, right? I always say to the entrepreneur that a good idea could be, okay, you have your business and you start to make money, but a very normal tendency or steady tendency, okay, I'm making money in my business, let's reinvest in the business. I'm making more money, let's reinvest. Let's grow this business, let's reinvest. And then after they grow this business and they put all the money back into the business, COVID happened, something happened, and you go to zero very quickly. And what happened with all this hard work? I always said that could be a good idea. Yeah. For example, to as you grow your business, if you can take this part of the money and let's say you buy a house and therefore the rent from the profit that this rental house give you, you can use it for marketing. Guess what? Right? You have capital for your marketing for your business because you produce it.
Yes.
But if you go out of business, at least you have a house giving
Correct.
you cash flow. So what is your opinion
Yes.
or what is your take on this? Do you think that entrepreneurs alone, they are building wealth and growing the business, they should start learning about become a financial educated about keeping the money? Or do you think that at the time of exit, when they have too many millions and they have no knowledge, very wealthy, I think that they are very vulnerable with someone with high skills and can drop it in come maybe make them fall into a trap, right?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Harry, because here's the underlying issue, and here are some scary statistics. So globally, we looked at some data that showed that less than 6% of businesses are ever sold for a profit if they're ever sold at all. And what that comes down to is that as a business owner, we sacrifice a lot. We usually get paid less than our employed counterparts. We work more hours, we take more risk. And once you factor all of those things into the equation, plus all of the reinvestment, when you sell your business, it actually is not very profitable for most people. So it is your prerogative to build wealth outside of your business. Now, most business owners hate tax, okay? But there is a tax that is far more detrimental than any government will ever charge you, and it's called the scale tax. That as you grow and scale your business, human behavior leads us to grow and scale our expenses. So there's so many businesses, and I'm sure you've seen this, Harry, that are bigger and have nothing more to show for it. They've got
Tell
more
me about
stress,
it.
more
Happened to me.
responsibility.
It happened to me.
Yeah, it's happened to me too, Harry. So what this comes
Welcome
down
to
to
my
is a
life.
behavioral. Yeah, it's a behavioral principle that governs us as human beings called Parkinson's law. Because as human beings, we use the resources we have available. So the more resources we have, the more resources we use. So our job is to create structure that ensures that we have surplus. We're taking money off the table. And what we've been able to prove, Harry, is when we implement this system, not only are we able to take more money out of the business, that the business actually becomes more successful because when we're resourceful, when we're forced to be resourceful, we make better decisions as opposed to just throwing money at our problems blindly, right?
Absolutely.
So what we typically do, Harry, is we implement a system that we call the profit mastery machine. And it means that we actually hold our clients accountable to a minimum acceptable standard of profit that must be extracted from the business. And it forces them to run the business on what is left. So for most of our clients, they do between 20 and 30% profit margins. So on $1 million business, that's $200,000 to $300,000 a year. And then we do the same in their household, where we hold them to a higher standard of investing 20 to 30% of their household income in wealth creation. And I'll just explain this because there's a reason why business owners don't invest now. They're like, I want to live a really great lifestyle. So let's say I need to build $10 million in investment assets. Well, if I can only afford to invest $500 a month or $1,000 a month now, what's the point? But it's a momentum building exercise. We're building what I call money muscle memory. It's like going to the gym and saying, I want to be Mr. Olympia and trying to go squat 300 kilos. I'm going to hurt myself, right? Whereas if you want to start squatting, you
100%.
start with just the bar, right? You get the form right and you add weight over time.
It's
The
a
same
skill.
thing works for your money.
Exactly as you describe. It's a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. It's like driving
Exactly.
a car or like swimming. Okay. So
Exactly.
the fastest way that you learn the skill, the better. However, look, Jason, I'm rooting 100% for you, man. Thank you so much because exactly what you describe is what I believe. And I believe because you see, like it happened to me. It happened. This is, I remember you talking about the scaling of tax. I remember that I used to have in London, telling you 16, 18 years ago, a property business. We wanted to settle 5 million. It's rent to rent. We're renting the units and renting back in individual rooms to people coming to London. We call it landing services. And I remember that when I had 7 houses, I was doing everything by myself. I was making a lot of money with very little work. And I said, oh, let's scale up. And I remember that when we scaled to 14 houses, we were making the same money with more work. Because when you scale more, you need to employ people, then you need to pay more to the accountant, you need to do that. And you're thinking, okay, if I duplicate, I'm gonna make double the money and double the profit. It doesn't really work like this because you will have the combined problem that these two entities together have that you didn't have before. So, and a very good way, like you described, is before you're ready to scale up, create a foundation, something that you are sharing here, which I'm a big fan, and I'm rooting for you 100%, and 100% I agree with you what you described there, because we want all the entrepreneurs that listen in this podcast to be healthy, wealthy, and happy. Okay.
Yes.
But keeping the money is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. Okay.
Correct.
And we don't want anybody working hard. You know how difficult it is to start a business, to grow a business, to get product market fit, to save 1 million. You know how tough is all this, and then when you break all these barriers, right? And you there without financial education, and some people say, okay, diversify the business, okay? And I'm gonna ask you that one, yeah, because like I said, I talk a lot about the subject, and a lot of people tell me a lot of things, and they say, okay, diversify in the business. However, Jason, I think we cannot get emotionally attached. The entrepreneur will get emotionally attached to our business. We see the baby and we want this business outlast us, and we want this business forever. So all our life is to make this business bulletproof and create multiple streams of income, create this, create that, in order to make sure that the business survives forever. Whether there are other proven vehicles out there, which is something like property. I mean, you're the expert. You can mention. Actually, I would like to mention some for the people to learn something. There are vehicles that they are more, we can say, more easy to understand, and from your financial point of view, probably it have less risk, because nobody, and this is my question to you, okay? Nobody really, the entrepreneurs, especially if they are first-time founders, they are not aware the huge risk that is to be in business. The other day, my brother called me. Look at this one. My brother called me and then, Harry, you're not gonna believe what happened. I said, what happened? He said, he imported a decoration and furniture from Indonesia to Europe. Okay, big warehouse. He told me it was a fire 9 miles from the warehouse in Spain. I said, really? And he told me, guess what happened? The wind moved the fire only 200 meters from the warehouse. And I couldn't even get to there because the fire brigade was protected. So he told me, almost the warehouse got burned. And you know what my answer that I told him, Jason? I told him, look, man, in order for this happen to you, you only need to be in business. If you're in business, these crazy things that no one
Things are going to
ever
go
think
wrong.
that will happen can actually happen. So tell
Yes.
us your point of view, Jason. How entrepreneurs, okay, what is the real risk or the risk that we have building a business at all stages, okay?
Yes.
And what is easy, understandable, viable, some vehicles that they're not too complex that people can understand so they can start to mitigate
For sure.
the risk.
So let's talk about this. Everything is risky. Anything worth anything in this world comes with risk. And Warren Buffett famously said, you pay the biggest price for certainty. Okay. And I think this is often the biggest issue, that people want safety and security. But through the byproduct of that safety and security means that they don't manufacture growth, they don't manufacture freedom, which is the reason why we get into business in the first place. So my goal is to create asymmetrical risk versus return, where I have the ability to produce a significant return for the relative risk that I'm looking to take. So first and foremost, from a foundational perspective, the number one contributor to businesses failing is there is not enough demand in the market for what is being provided. It's that kind of that age-old product market fit, okay? But it's also that businesses have a value proposition, but they're not aware of the shifts in the market and of their customers, and therefore they become irrelevant over time. They essentially become obsolescent because of new opportunities that come into the market. So
And
what is
advanced
critically important?
technology, AI, a lot
Exactly.
of things
So
come
what's
into play.
critically Exactly. So what's critically important, Harry, is that everybody realizes that their business is not forever and their business is never perfect. And they must constantly be updating and optimizing their market positioning, which in other words means how do my ideal customers and clients perceive my business and my value in comparison to the other options that are available in the market? That is number one. The second biggest reason for failure is cash flow. A business never went broke with too much money in the bank, okay? And what I see is that businesses have, on average, looking at thousands of financials, Harry, most businesses have less than 1 month of cash to expenses. We help our clients build 3 to 6 months of cash to expenses, meaning that they have a financial
Wow, that's
runway
very good.
when
That would be
things
helpful in COVID. We talk a lot of people
correct.
off guard. They didn't have time
Exactly. And
to pivot.
Exactly. And what was interesting with that, Harry, is that our clients were not only able to navigate COVID, but they were able to capitalize on market opportunities that existed in COVID. And that was interesting. And the next part to this, and you spoke about diversification. I think most business owners are too obsessed with multiple streams of income. Like there's this thing that goes around that people need to create 7 streams of income. I call bullshit, Harry. Okay. I think that for the vast majority of entrepreneurs that are doing less than $1 million a year in revenue, diversify means diversify.
It's
It
a
means that
way,
they're
yeah,
diluting their
you don't need.
focus and they're diluting their results. So my philosophy has always been you should have one client value proposition, one marketing channel, one funnel, one delivery channel until you get to $1 million. And like I've got a
Until you
$25 million
get
business now.
product market fit, yeah.
Correct. I've got a
Product
$25
market
million
fit,
business
proven
now.
product market fit. Yeah. Even sometimes,
Correct.
like we're talking in this podcast, selling a million could be kind of indicator, but
Exactly.
you will know when your product is fit for the market,
Correct.
right? When you don't
And
depend
to
on
give you
your
some
client
context,
anymore, right?
exactly. I've got 5 business divisions in my group. We do $25 million in business value. We've got over 53 staff. And it's only because we were able to build a value proposition, then add options to it over time that we've been able to compound the results. And I think the third part to this, Harry, is wealth building. Okay. There are only 3 predictable ways to build wealth in this world. There's business. So your job is to build realizable, saleable value into your business. And from there, you're then looking to get your business profits and you need to build property wealth. This is good quality blue chip property in desirable locations where affluent people want to live long term. And 3, you need to get money into the share market because at the end of the day, there are great businesses out there that are listed on the stock market that are going to do significantly more growth and create significantly more profit than your business will ever produce. And you have the opportunity to invest in those businesses on a fractional basis. Now, if I talk about this, because I've done all 3 strategies at 36 years old, I've been able to build $15 million in net wealth.
Wow,
And
that's
I've been
very
able to create
impressive.
financial freedom. And look, and I don't say that to brag. I come from nothing and I'm completely self-made. But I've built that wealth through those three things. I have sold businesses, and I've built them up. I've understood how to create intrinsic value and I've sold them. I've bought businesses. I think acquisition of small businesses, particularly aligned businesses to your core
This one I
business,
like it a lot.
it's a phenomenal strategy.
Yeah,
So the learning that as a skill set there's going to be a tremendous opportunity over the next 5 to 10 years because of the baby boomers who are going to be getting to retirement and needing to get out of their business. And there's going to be more businesses than people to buy them. Let's talk about property for a second, Harry. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Like, I'm in Australia, but
uh,
everywhere in the developed world, the fundamentals of property come down to five things. Do you mind me sharing them?
absolutely. Go for it.
Beautiful. So when we think about property and housing is a basic human right, okay? But property comes down to supply versus demand, all right? Fundamental driver number one, there needs to be net migration. More people need to be moving to an area than are moving away, right? Two, there needs to be diversified employment because ultimately, if people don't have jobs, then they're not going to be able to live there and afford to live there. So we want to have diversification and not reliant on a single employment sector. Three, there needs to be infrastructure spending. The government needs to be spending on roads and public transport and hospitals and schools, things that improve the livability. But also there needs to be private infrastructure, restaurants, cafes, lifestyle, because this is where people want to raise families, right? Jobs take people to a location, infrastructure keeps them there long term. Four, there needs to be a fixed amount of future supply. So ideally, we want to buy in areas that are already built out, right? That in order for somebody to build something new, they've got to buy something and knock it down. And ideally, we want to have strict zoning, meaning that developers can't come in and build big towers. Or we're not buying on the edge of cities where they can just build house and land packages as far as the eye can see, because that's what floods the market with supply. And then the last factor is affordability. It's not what you and I can afford, Harry, because we're affluent people. It's what the local population can afford because property prices go up where there's more demand than supply. But the ceiling is how much people can afford to spend or how much the banks will lend them.
100%.
Pretty simple,
100%
right?
Jackson. Yeah, yeah. And now come the next question. Out of the 500 millionaires that we interview in this podcast, 1 out of 5 are property investors and property millionaires. So maybe what illustrates that through the statistic of this podcast, it seems that property is a good vehicle to create wealth, right?
Yes,
So you just need to listen this show. But
for sure.
Jackson, can you tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly of being a property investor? Like for me, I'm very grateful about property. Without my property
Yes,
business, it was actually my first business. I couldn't be where I am today. Actually, my
yes,
property business it was so solid that that I opened another business. I went through everything that you described. You had to go to this diversification, and it was, oh my goodness. I I opened a restaurant and I lost 200,000 pounds. So the disasters happened in the diversification. Still, the business was solid. The holds all my crazy journey about opening different companies, things like this. So, however, I know for the fact that when something goes wrong in property, it's a skill. Same, the more you practice, the better you become.
correct.
When something goes wrong in property, we're talking about a lot of money. So, can you
Yes,
describe? And I love your 5 principles, by the way, investing in property. But tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly when people just listen to this podcast, get excited. I'm gonna become a millionaire.
yes,
Let me jump into property without the right knowledge or the right expertise or the right thing, and
yes,
then an accident happen, and when something goes wrong, like I said, is no. If something goes wrong in the tech, the only 1 out of 5 millionaires that
sure.
come to this podcast are tech entrepreneurs. Something goes wrong in
Yes,
tech, you have an MVP, maybe you do it with AI, didn't cost you that much, you will be okay. Something goes wrong in
yes.
property, could be completely different ball game. So Jason,
Yeah,
tell
it's
us
very
good, the
interesting.
bad, or the ugly of the property investment, and why do you think that out of all the vehicles out there, how to make money, 1 out of 5 are joined to this podcast from our property
Yeah,
investors.
interesting, Harry. Out of the 3 billion in wealth that we've created for our clients, about 2 billion of that is through property. And I'll tell you the
Oh,
reason why it
wow.
works so well.
Wow. You're taking
It
my
doesn't matter where
statistic to
you
the
are.
next level. Wow, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
we live and breathe it, but it's not the be all
Wow.
and end all, okay? It's important to understand the pros and cons. So let's talk about the pros first. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, property, depending on the type of property that you're buying, it's either going to be a capital growth play where we're buying an asset for it to appreciate in value. And some areas like in Australia, residential real estate is all about capital growth, okay? And usually that comes with a lower yield or a lower rent to the value of the property. Whereas in, say, the US and some parts of the UK, we buy property because it's more of a yield or a passive income play. And usually the capital growth is not as great. But it's about understanding the characteristics of the asset that you are buying and what you're trying to achieve. So, from a principle based standpoint, why Australians buy residential real estate is because it allows them to build their asset base. So, the numbers are that we can go and have, say, a 10% deposit, so let's call it $100,000. We can go borrow 90% from the bank and go and buy $1 million asset. And if that asset goes up by 5%, 50,000, that is a 50% cash on cash return.
Wow.
And if we do that over 5 properties or 10 properties, you can see that the compounding of wealth is significant. However, if we're buying something and we're building our asset base, it is usually not going to provide us with a lot of passive income. So what we then need to consider is how do we get to a point of being financially free? And in this particular scenario, we got to realize that property is very expensive. We've got maintenance, we've got council rates, we've got insurance. There's all of these other costs, and I think people underestimate the cost of property, right? The other part is it's very illiquid. We can't sell the kitchen sink if we need to raise some money to put food on the table, right? So it's important to understand that at some point in time, we are likely going to need to divest or diversify, which is why I'm a big believer in shares. So I think for all people, you need to understand a couple of principles around property. One, property is a game of finance. You are going to need to borrow money from the bank. So you need to understand the bank's rules to be able to get access to that money. Two, understand whether you're investing for capital growth or income and work out if you're getting one and not the other, then you need to get that elsewhere. Work out when. And three, have a exit strategy. Because I think people have this romantic connection to their business and also their property portfolio of like, oh, I'm never going to sell. I'm going to hold these for the rest of my life. It's very, very rarely the case. I think the average duration of a property held is about 5 years. So have an exit plan and invest with that exit plan in mind because it can go very wrong. Like we had clients who in the global financial crisis had huge amounts of property, massive portfolios, and unfortunately
Then over
lost a lot of
leverage.
those over
Yeah.
leveraged. And that's the thing. The bank is always going to come knocking for their repayment. So the more debt that you have, the more risk that you are taking. And it's critically important to understand that once again, your emergency fund is critically important whenever you're building this strategy.
Yeah. Jason, and what I'm surprised at hear from you. Look at you're from based in Australia, and
Yes.
even if Australia you don't have a enough cash flow opportunity, you guys go UK, US. You look where is the property that produce this cash flow? My favorite business, the
Correct.
property where it was a cash flow thing, right? And it was amazing. And I'm a big fan of cash flow because we need money every month, right? To
Correct.
pay to buy food, to pay the school for the kids, to put gas in the car, right? Or to pay the bills. The bills come monthly, okay? So
Yes.
and those ones that have a job, right? You get paid every month. So if you can buy 2, 3 properties and the income monthly uh, can exceed your salary whenever you get paid,
Sure.
that means that now you go to work because you want to, not because you have to. And the
Correct. And
dynamic
look, it's
of
an
your
important
life.
point, Harry,
Go
if I can
ahead. Go
talk to
ahead.
this though.
Yes. Go ahead.
I think business owners often chase passive income too early. And let's put this into perspective. If you've got a successful business that is meeting and exceeding your living expenses and you've got no intention to retire, if you're producing passive income from your investments, that is forcing you to earn income that you must pay tax on, only to then reinvest whatever's left. So let's assume that you've got $100,000 in passive income, and let's assume your average tax rate is 30%. that means that you only have 70,000 out of that $100,000 left to reinvest. Whereas if you don't need the passive income, investing for capital growth means that you can reinvest 100% of that growth every year.
Oh,
And that means
wow.
that you've
That's a
got
good one.
30%, yeah, you've got 30% more money to compound every year.
Ah,
So
wow.
what's important is, and once again, I don't have any bias towards passive income or growth. It's about what have we got to do to get to the outcome that's important to you. And I
Exactly.
think it's important not to run somebody else's race. It's about creating a strategy that's specific to you. And for many of our clients, it's like, well, once they make this realization and realize the true cost of passive income too early, they often start focusing on capital growth. And that's where we can diversify the strategy
Wow,
into
very
shares and a
impressive.
lot
Very
of,
good. Very good. Very good.
yeah, makes a big
Fantastic.
difference.
Yeah. So ideally, Jackson, which we need to start to balance out the whole thing, right?
And over time,
Because
that's right. It's
everybody
about
wants to
focusing
retire.
on,
The thing is that everybody wants to retire. Everybody that I speak, every
correct.
time that I go to a conference, I'm speaking in front of everyone. Everybody wants to retire. Everybody wants to supply, change the income that they have in at work. And yeah, maybe they're so desperate about this that they're leaving 30% on the table that could be reinvested in capital growth, right?
And here's another interesting thought here, Harry. Having worked with thousands of people, there are very few of my clients that have actually fully retired. Like, I think most people mistake retirement with choice. Because
Uh,
if you don't have to work for money anymore, you're going to do something, right? Like,
you
imagine
never
you sitting
retire.
around at
This is
home
this
or,
is
yeah,
this is the first time. Look, I remember when I started, Jason. I want to make a million. I want to make a million. That's all I'm
yes,
thinking. I'm gonna make a million. And when actually happened, okay, I didn't even realize. The accountant told me. I was so impressed that I didn't
yes,
even realize. And this idea you have, oh, I go to the beach and whatever. Well, I went to the beach, and after a week, I'm was so bored that
you're very
then
bored.
it doesn't. Whatever you have in your head that you think that
Yes,
that will happen, it doesn't really work
it doesn't,
that
mate. And here's
way.
my
You get
philosophy.
more of these holiday things so
Correct.
fast that
Exactly. So I talk about this concept of having enough and extra. The goal of
uh,
the aim of the game here is to get to a point where you have enough so you can choose. It's like that FU money position where if you don't want to work
yeah,
anymore, you don't have to. But you can now choose to chase extra for fun. And it rewrites the
absolutely.
rules of the game.
And then come hold on, because it becomes more interesting, because after you
Correct.
change that dynamic, something magic is gonna happen to you, because you go and work because you want to, not because you have to.
Yes.
And guess
Correct.
what? Now there is a space, number one, for your health. There is
Yes.
a space for you to spend time with your family, with the people that you love. I remember, Jason, once my mom got sick. Yeah, I need to go and pick her up in Cuba. It took a year
Mm.
and a lot of money to actually get them recovered and bring them back.
Yes.
And all I was thinking is, oh my God, it's God that this business is producing what is producing, that can be away a year and the whole thing continue then in autopilot, and when I can't take care of my
Beautiful.
family, my mom and everything. So the dynamic change, because you will have more time that you
Correct.
can choose, yeah, in order to spend time to look after your health. I remember at the early when my early time when I was business, you should be I was a hero. I used to arrive to the company and I said, guys, I worked 12 hours, 14 hours without stop. Everybody, wow, Harry, you're the champion. If somebody come down and tell me, Harry, look, I have a business proposal for you. You have to work 14 hours. Tell you crazy, man. I need
No,
my
thank
time
you.
to play tennis. I need to play my time like
Exactly.
this, to do my work, to do my this. Yeah, we can get into business. And so the first question I'm asking lately, Jackson, is what is gonna take? No,
Yes,
how many
exactly.
million? No. What is gonna take from my time, from my effort, and then I choose. I choose if I get involved or not, which is something
Yes,
that I need to learn during this interesting roller coaster within being an entrepreneur, because
exactly.
sometimes, and then look after your health, because you know how many millionaires, then that, they're so stressed out that they end up with a heart attack or with
Correct.
this emotional pain, the stress can become a physical pain. And they can, so
Yes.
in terms of, in terms of in terms of the mental health, okay?
Yes.
What is your message for entrepreneurs? I remember, Jason, like I live in London, okay? Few things that happened to me in London, yeah. Once a year, okay, I had to go to an early meeting and I had to take the metro. And I remember if you go and take the metro 7 a.m. in UK, in London, okay, it's like, like sardines, like this.
It's a sardine can. Yeah.
And I go and
It's
take my
horrible.
metro. And the only thing that I'm thinking is, oh my God, thanks God that this is not my daily, that this is once a year for me. But I see, unfortunately, the rest of the people, this is every day they need to go to this
Exactly.
thing like this. And the other day is I'm part of a group that dance salsa, right? So we dance salsa in the park in London, and it's a very diverse group. And one guy came to me and told me, Harry, you know what? Next week I'm going to India. I said, really? Yo, man, that's exactly. So how long you going for? And he said, a week. And I'm like, man, you crazy? You going for a week? This is too far. You should go for a month or two. Because I'm thinking of myself.
Of course.
Every time that I go, if I go to speak in Singapore, I go 15 days early and 15 days after, just because we need to have meetings before, we need to have meeting after, but we spend the whole day wandering around there, having so much fun on holiday. And I realized,
let me share you a story.
you know what the guy told me, Jason? The guy told me, Harry, I only go 1 week because I only have 1 week of holiday from my job. And I'm like, I'm thinking how detached I am from reality, that if I don't, because I surround myself with entrepreneurs like you all the time.
Yes.
So very little I talk with the people inside this environment. So my reality have nothing to do with the reality of everybody.
Of course.
There. So tell us what's the message you have for entrepreneurs and people want to be entrepreneur. Go for it.
I'll share with you a story. I was very fortunate that I lost my father to pancreatic cancer when he was 66 years old. And he'd worked his entire life, every single day, 16-hour days, hoping to get to retirement to be able to enjoy the fruits of his labor. And he didn't have much wealth, but he was very much looking forward to enjoying it. And unfortunately, his life was cut short due to coming down with that sickness. And as he lay in his hospital bed, he gave me one last piece of advice. He said, Jackson, every person in this world has 2 lives, and your second life starts when you realize that you only have one. And I was very fortunate that although I lost him and it was a tremendous and painful experience, it was the best lesson that he could have ever taught me. And I just committed to creating a model that we call the F4. And so what we do is we help our clients work towards creating a business that creates $400,000 a year in profit, allows them to work 4 days a week and 44 weeks a year, and fast tracks their way to $4 million in net wealth. Now, I'm very fortunate that I created that for myself at 33. And then I spent a year traveling around Australia in a 4-wheel drive. And then I've gone on to buy our dream home. We've set up an animal sanctuary in far north Queensland where we've rescued over 100 animals. And I've been able to build this multi-8-figure business, which affords me the opportunity, like next year, I'm going to run 270 kilometers through the Sahara Desert and spend 3 months in Spain. So I have all of these freedoms, but it comes down to focusing on those F4s, the profit, the time each week and the time each year, and having the wealth and the passive income to have freedom of choice. So what's important, Harry, is to understand that financial freedom is upstream from lifestyle freedom. And it is your duty as a business owner to manufacture not only the financial freedom, but the time freedom to allow you to look after yourself. Because on your deathbed, no one ever wishes they spent more time working. And it doesn't matter how much wealth you have, unless you look after yourself now, you are not going to be able to buy it back.
100%. And then, Jackson, thank you so much for sharing the story with your dad. It's like sometimes the worst day of your life become the best day of your life, because you can see the reality of a person. How unfair they are working their whole life, and now when it's ready to retire, this cancer appear. And if you look deep, yeah, I'm 100% sure, because my dad almost died because he has a job, okay, and then he got fired for this job, and he got so upset and so tried to fight these people to get the job back, and it was so intense how he was attached to this job that gave him a throat cancer, and it took maybe 22 hours of operation and 3 teams of doctors. Even the operation was in Spain, actually was operated in Spain, and now he's fine, but he clearly almost killed himself just because of the attachment that you have for the job.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that, but maybe, something related of your dad working so hard every hour. Could be a stress, could be something that he was eating at work, could be something that he didn't have a choice. He has to do it because it was part of his life. Probably,
I'll tell you what it
might
is,
lead
Harry.
to this.
It's about identity. His work was his identity, and it sounds like your dad was very similar. And I'm sure you see this. Business owners everywhere, their business is their identity. And I recognize this, so that's why I'm an ultra endurance athlete. I run hundreds of kilometers in ultra races. As you see on the wall, I've got a flamenco guitar. So my time in Spain is going to study flamenco in the south, in Andalusia.
Oh, wow, amazing.
You need to, once you create a foundation in your business, you need to find freedom beyond your business. It's your duty. Because if you only get purpose and fulfillment from your business, it will become the be all and end all and even the end of your existence.
And can kill you. The business can kill you. Yeah, this is without. This is something that is even happened to me almost when I used to have the property business. I used to have 177 clients, and it was value structure at the beginning, and everybody wanted to talk to me. All the clients want to talk to me, all the employees want to talk to me. And I'm thinking, these people not gonna when I sleep, they don't care, because the clients, if it was renting the room, so if you want to bring a friend, it was only Harry that can allow that. So they don't mind to talk to me at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. They don't care because they know that only Harry can authorize that. And they want to bring the friend, the family, whatever. So I have all the clients there, a long list. Everybody want to talk to me. It doesn't matter what time. And the employees as well. So I'm thinking, if I don't shift this, these people are going to kill me when I sleep. So sometimes structuring the business in a way that you have your freedom could be is ideal out of a survivor. So Jackson, this interview has been fantastic, man. Thank you so much. So last question: somebody's in love with this conversation and want to know more about this, about what you do, or they can start the journey to start to learn, because this is something for anybody that is listening. Even if you're starting the business, even if you are in the mid-sized business, even if you own a large business, you have to start to learn how to invest your money, because it's about not only about making it, it's about keeping it, and keeping the money is have nothing to do with your ability to be a good entrepreneur. This is another skill set that you need to learn. And let me ask you this one, Jason. When did you learn? Okay, so 2 questions: how people can find you, how this process works, and then when you have the breakthrough yourself, that hold on a minute, I'm a very good entrepreneur, but this is not the end. I need to start to become a good investor. So what happened to you? Did you lose any money after an exit? What happened that you decided to, because let me tell you something, was an entrepreneur in this very same podcast, which actually the guy that exit for a lot of zeros, and after 1 year, a lot of zero was missing from his account. Now he actually have a business of a financial advising to entrepreneur, and he's doing so well. So finally he told me, Harry, I give it away thinking I don't need to know about this, and I end up learning everything and now building a business about this. So tell us, when do you have the breakthrough yourself?
So I was about 25 years old and I almost went bankrupt as a result of a failed business that I had originally, and my father's cancer, and having to inherit the family mortgage and paying all of the bills. And
everything came at once, right?
Everything came at once, and I had multiple 6 figures in bad debt, and I almost declared bankruptcy, but I committed to working my way out of it. And I built this system that allowed me to pay off all of my debts in about 18 months, and then have now gone on to build $15 million in net wealth and help many of my clients do the same. So the idea here is that nobody's born with this innate ability, and everybody has the ability to learn. And it's about understanding the system and being able to implement it. And it works globally. It doesn't matter where you're located. The principles are universal, and that's what we teach because we want you to be self-sufficient. Now, we specialize in working primarily with seven-figure plus businesses. And the reason for it is because all of my content is valuable. So if you are less than seven figures, follow me on social media. You can grab one of my 8 international best-selling books by just searching my name on Amazon. But we work with seven-figure businesses because that's our area of expertise. We know how to scale these businesses up to 8 figures and help them create financial freedom faster. So if people want to find out more, the best place for them to start is to go onto wealthhealthcheck.com.au. That is wealthhealthcheck.com.au. Complete the financial performance scorecard. It's going to evaluate you across your profit strategy, your tax strategy, and your wealth strategy. And it's going to give you a customized report that'll tell you where you need to focus your attention. Because Harry, we've covered a lot of content in this podcast, but not all of it's going to be applicable. So knowing exactly what you should be focusing on is critically important. And then as a bonus, you'll get access to all of my books and my best resources that'll help you start implementing. So I hope that's a value. Jump onto wealthhealthcheck.com.au and look forward to seeing how you perform.
Jason, thank you so much, man, for this podcast. This has been fantastic. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Jackson break the wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.